Hello. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Tamara Nzunza. For those of you who do not know, I am the Communications Director for Virginia RRC, and I am so excited and so happy to have as today's guest, Amy Stoehr. Amy.
Hi, I'm so honored.
Thank you for being here. Now, Amy, tell the people, for those who do not know who you are, share with us a little bit of your background, real estate, life, all things, and how you are kind of fused in with CRS and real estate.
Absolutely. So I started in real estate December of 1992. And the training program at the brokerage I affiliated with was the broker said, go shadow my wife. She's the top producer in the office and do what she does and you'll be successful. That was my training program. And that happened to be Kathy Russell. And the first year I was shadowing her, she just invited me to join her team. And that made a whole lot of sense to me. And then she got interviewed by a man named Howard Brinton, who owned a company called StarPower. And to make a super, super long story as short as possible, I ended up going to work for that company in 1996. We did close 235 transactions my last full year with Kathy, which was unheard of in the mid 90s. And
Absolutely.
so I had that experience from my personal involvement. And then I went to work for StarPower and spent nearly 12 years helping grow that company and training and coaching real estate professionals all over North America. And then I was let go at the beginning of 2008. Turns out the company was in financial trouble. We all know 2008 was recession
Yeah.
time, and StarPower was not immune, and
Mhm.
they filed bankruptcy in 2009. One of the stars bought the rights and tried to keep it going. It didn't work. And so it went dormant in early 2012.
Mhm.
And then one of the stars in 2021, Jana Caudill, decided to see if she could resurrect it. And she called me to ask me if I would help. And Star Power has been my family in my life. And so, of course, I said yes. And then after she got it going, she said, you know what, she is a very busy woman with a lot of irons in the fire. And she was going to sell it. And I said,
Right.
this this my family, it's my baby, it's my everything. I want it. So in September 2022, I officially bought it and now it's mine. So that's the business history.
Yes.
I got licensed as a coach in 2001, along with the owner at the time, Howard Brinton. We went together because we wanted to bring coaching to real estate, but we
Mhm.
wanted it to be true coaching and not just an accountability partner. And so we built that coaching program from '01 up until 2008 when I left. And then I couldn't find a job. I had to get
Mhm.
going right away, primary breadwinner of my family. So I launched my own coaching and consulting business. And that's what I was doing in 2008 through 2021 until Jana reached
Yeah.
out to me.
And that's how you and I met, through your coaching business
Yes. And I
many,
had
many
a
months ago.
had an organization proceeding taken over Star Power called Real Estate Masters Guild that had live
Mhm.
events, and you came to some of those, and that was amazing. And so here we are. That's the
Yes.
business side. On the
Yes.
personal side, I love to hike. I love to do kickboxing. I climbed a really big mountain in 2019 called Kilimanjaro, fell in love with the people on the mountain, started a foundation. We have so far sponsored 68 kids to go to private school. And I go there 3 times a year to visit and check up on things. And um, that is my purpose.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. And I don't know about you guys, but just hearing that, I'm like, are you overwhelmed too? Because that is a lot.
Okay, let me just speak some truth into that. We all get overwhelmed. And in
Yes.
fact, I want to share two personal stories real quick
Okay.
to establish that no
And
one.
I want to let you guys know that I brought out the fireside chat background because this is what it is. This is a real conversation. I do have a list of questions for Amy, but this is a real conversation about overwhelm. And we're going to get into, things that I've been hearing, things that other agents have
Yes,
been sharing with me. As a matter of fact, that's one of my questions. But just sit tight, you guys. We're going to pull back some of these layers and help
yes.
you overcome overwhelm.
And I think it's important that y'all understand that none of us are immune. Even the most high achievers have their times.
Mhm.
And so in 2002, well, remember, in 2001, I was in the position of executive VP at StarPower, and we had 20 some odd people in the company.
Mhm.
My right-hand person at the time had a physical fallout. Turns out that she has MS. We did not know that at the time. So we
Mhm.
started with that emergency. Then we had 9/11. Then my GM was in a car accident and lost his brain for a little while. So I just kept taking on everybody else's jobs because sometimes that's what we do as a leader. I'll just take it back. I
Mhm.
delegated it, but now I'm taking it back.
Yep.
And by June of 2002, I was in full-blown overwhelm and I had a nervous breakdown, which they don't call it that anymore. They have all these
Right.
fun, fancy labels, but let's speak truth, Tamara.
Right.
It was a
Right.
nervous breakdown, full on.
And can you articulate what exactly does that mean? Whether it's medical terms, like what does that mean? Because I know sometimes people may throw that around loosely, but
Mhm.
what does that mean exactly?
Your body is calling a physical full stop on you. And
Hmm.
so I will just share. I woke up on the morning of June the 20th, 2002. I had two small children, 3 and 6 years old. I could not look at them, physically could not look at them. I went to wake one up and I had to avert making eye contact with him. I managed to pull myself together enough. My husband was working at StarPower at the time that we could get them to the daycare. And as soon as we walked out the door of the building, I burst into tears. I had no idea what was happening to me. I felt like, without being able to articulate a specific physical thing going on in my body, like my whole body was shutting down.
Hmm.
And we drove the 30 minutes into Boulder where our office was. By the time we got to the office, I had resolved in my brain that I couldn't do this. I needed help. I didn't know what that help looked like. I
And that's a
walked
key
in,
word. That's a huge word, and I'm sure we're going to talk about that.
yeah. I walked into the building in full tears. I had no Kleenex in my office. I had a stack of pink Star Power t-shirts. So I was using my staff t-shirts to clean myself up. And I called a coach that I had met in coach training
Hmm.
who was a master level coach. And I said, I don't know what's happening to me. I don't know how to fix it. I am literally coming apart at the seams. I think I'm going to have to get checked into a mental institution. And
Hmm.
so she worked with me for an hour and it was about simplifying.
Hmm.
It was about redelegating because I'd taken on so much. It was
Yes.
about deciding what was a true urgent need versus something that I had worked up in my head was important.
Hmm.
It was about approaching the owner and saying, all these extra things that I took on, they're not mine anymore. I'm handing
Yeah.
this back to this person and this back to that person and this back
Yeah.
to you, Mr.
Yeah.
Owner. So it was a pivotal moment in my life, and it sure as heck made me a better coach.
Hmm.
Um, and then I'll fast forward to 2020 because I know we're going to talk about the pandemic.
Hmm.
And maybe I'll just hold that little story, but I went through a miniature version of what happened to me in 2002 and 2020, and I had to call a timeout on myself.
Yeah.
So I want to talk
Yeah.
about that too.
Yeah. And I know you weren't there at Genuine Hustle, which is another real estate conference back in February, but we touched
Needed
on
to miss
this.
that.
Yes, we touched on it, and I want to say it was Marguerite Martin, who is in Tacoma, Washington. She coined it. She said Minty B. She
Mm,
said it's a Minty B. And so, yeah. So,
yes.
phew, okay. All right, here we go. It's been a year. Inflation, NAR settlement,
Yep.
Fed meetings, interest
Yep.
rate, NAR
Yep.
settlement, said that
Yep.
twice, and an election, and that
Hmm.
is just real estate. On top of that, add life. So, family, relationships, marriages, parents, kids. From a real estate coach's perspective, Amy, tell me, when you listen to your coaching clients over the past 90 days in particular, is there overwhelm? And if so, what exactly is the source?
I'm so happy you asked this question, Tamara. There has not been a time in history that we haven't had some challenge facing us.
Hmm.
Doesn't exist.
Hmm.
Maybe there have been times when the economy's been more robust and business was flowing in easier, but then we all became workaholics and forgot to take the time off. So specific to the past 90 days. So let's just talk about what that framework is. People are dealing with putting in place for a lot of people good business practices that they either had gotten lax on or were
Hmm.
never required to do, and
Right.
people fight change.
Right.
And so there's
Especially
been
realtors,
over
because our average age is what, 50 something? It's hard.
55.
Yeah.
It fluctuates between 57 and 55.
Yeah.
The whole time I've been in this business, 32 years, it has not budged from like a 3-year age range. So people have created some chaos around what am I using for the form? How am I articulating it? The panic mode of, do I now have to call every listing agent and ask them what the compensation is before I show the house? We as realtors are notorious for creating extra chaos, and chaos creates overwhelm.
Okay.
So the solution is, and this has been, most of my coaching clients were tackling this before August 17th,
Right.
but what are you going to put in place? How are you going to present it to both buyers and sellers?
Hmm.
And then what training do your people need if you have a team to deliver it at the level you have an expectation of delivering at? Now, if you
Hmm.
talk to someone like a Les Walden in South Carolina, they've been doing buyer agency forever.
Right.
So for them, it was like, hallelujah, now
Yeah.
everybody's doing it. So
Yeah. And we've had it in Virginia since 2012.
So, think about those relocating clients. And I just had this conversation in reverse order with a coaching client last week.
Hmm.
They are in a market that does not, none of them are members of the National Association of Realtors.
Mm.
And so the question posed to me was, if we're outside of that, do we even have to do this? What would you do, Amy? Let me just say, I told them I would use it anyway. Be the
Hmm.
leader in your market. Something may change at some point, but here's what we know to be true. Both sides deserve professional representation
And
and
transparency.
and
Yep.
transparency, and you
Hmm.
deserve to get paid for working. So the overwhelm is primarily caused by that. Now, we are also all saturated with media information.
Hmm.
So whether it's what's going on in Israel, what's going on in Ukraine, the US presidential election, we can go down those rabbit holes deep. And listen, if you are undecided about anything in your life, I guarantee you that the great Google will support both sides of any argument. You can find the information on the
Hmm.
web to support however you feel. And so it becomes a mental game, right?
Hmm.
First of all, you have to do your research and make your decisions on anything. Second
Right.
of all, you wake up every morning and make a choice what your day is going to look like. And I know, Tamara, you and I have talked about this little exercise
Just
called the
hour
gap.
by hour,
Yeah.
don't even think about
You
the full day. Start with the first hour.
start the night before.
Hmm.
I'll give this exercise now. I was going to talk about it later, but it's this simple. It's called Do the Gap, GAP.
Okay.
Every night before you go to bed, do the gap. And the G is gratitude. So
I'll put that in the chat.
what is one thing I'm grateful for in this moment right now? Hey, when you're having a real overwhelmed day and you feel like the whole world's spinning out of control, you can be grateful for clean air you're breathing. You can be grateful for your tap water. You can be grateful that you managed to get out of bed.
Hmm.
If you're at that point, and we've all been there, we're just getting out of bed is a trouble. I think of Mel Robbins talking about how when she was going through that, she literally would just manage to roll onto her side and then get out of bed on her hands and knees, still
Hmm.
facing down, and
Hmm.
then stand up from there. That was
Hmm.
all she focused on. So G is gratitude. What are you grateful for in this moment right now? A is accomplishment. I accomplished getting in the shower today. I accomplished getting a contract put together today. Your accomplishment can be as small or as big, but there's not a day in your life that goes by that you don't accomplish something.
All right.
And then P is for priorities. So remember, we're doing this at night. What are your top 3 priorities for the coming day? So that accomplishes 2 things. Number 1, it helps your mind release that infinite loop that we all run on.
Yes.
Oh, and I got to do this, and I got to do this, and oh my gosh, I totally forgot about that. If you have your top 3 priorities, I don't know if you guys know this, so I'm going to lean in to tell you. Your to-do list will not be complete when you die.
Who needs to hear that? Raise your hand in the chat if you need to hear that. And
So,
Kara, I see your message. Thank you, by the way. Kara said, I'm grateful for this session because the overwhelm can be real. We hear you.
oh, yeah. So we now have our 3 priorities for the day tomorrow. So when we go to sleep, all we're going to have in our head is I made the commitment to myself for 3 things tomorrow. Okay.
Yep.
And then when you wake up in the morning, what's your morning ritual? How many of you are looking at this as soon as you wake up? Be honest with yourselves.
Yeah.
And maybe we're saying, I'm going to do Wordle when I wake up because that'll keep me from going into a tailspin. Or I'm just going to check my email real quick to see if that seller responded on that offer.
But that's because we want to be responsive.
Yes. And what happens when you go in complete overwhelm, AKA nervous breakdown, is you can't respond to diddly squat.
Right.
So if you don't do the work to get yourself in the right space, you can't help anybody else. It truly is when you get on the airplane and they say, put your mask on first, you got to do it. I love this tip. Charge your phone in a different room. No joke.
Oh, yeah.
And if somebody's going to say, everybody's always got an excuse.
Yep.
So some of you just said, but yeah, I use my phone as my alarm to wake me up. Well, great. Then put it across the room. So you have to physically get out of bed to go shut it off.
Yep.
Listen, I'm narcoleptic. And when I was in college, I had one of those old alarms that had the bells on the top with the hammer.
I remember that.
And that could go off and I could shut that off and go back to sleep.
Yeah.
Loud as all get out. So it had to be all the way across the room. So I had to physically move my body to get it shut off. And once I did that, I was out of the bed and on to the day.
Yeah.
So,
and Margaret says, I'm in Virginia myself, so changes do not seem that much of a challenge. What is overwhelming to me is the fact that integrity of our profession has been under attack. Yeah, those media headlines, they're making it seem like, oh, buyer agents don't get paid. Buyer agents don't need to get paid. Realtors make too much money. Yeah, I feel you.
And who's making it the biggest deal? Realtors are.
Realtors are. Stay out of those toxic. I removed myself from 2 large Facebook groups that I had been part of. Yep.
We can hang out there all day long.
Yep.
You know, people say used car salesmen are slime bags until you know one that's not. And then that narrative vanishes. So the best way to counter our profession being quote unquote under attack is to not buy into it. Show up as a professional you are.
Yep.
Articulate
set the example.
Set the example, lead by example, and other people will come along. I don't know if y'all know this statistic. 80% of real estate agents turn over every 18 months. 80%. What are the odds that the realtors that people interacted with are even still going to be around for them?
Yep.
You have to show up. And the other thing I'll tell you is, you know how, Tamara, what car do you drive?
A Jeep Cherokee.
What color?
Silver.
Okay, so until you had that Jeep Cherokee, you might not have noticed another Jeep Cherokee on the road. And the day you
Right.
drove it away from the dealership, did you not, everywhere you went, you're like, oh my gosh, there's another Jeep. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, there's another Jeep.
Hmm.
People who are not currently buying or selling are not paying a whole lot of attention to the media because it's not important to them right now. When it becomes
Good point.
important, they pay attention. So we can get locked into the whole world thinks that realtors are awful,
Yeah.
but the
Good
truth
point.
is they don't.
Good
They
point.
absolutely don't. And so again, we're getting in our own way, which is a lot of what this is about. And guilty as charged. I get in my own way all the time.
Yeah. Well, you have answered quite a few of the questions, Amy, with that response.
I can't help it.
But my next one is, can you give us some perspective on what agents can do to manage their personal lives when business seems so tumultuous? And but let me just share with the people, when I attended StarPower, not only StarPower, which was July, this past July, I've been to StarPower and CRS Celebration. I was genuinely surprised at the number of agents who shared how much how many personal challenges that they were going through. I appreciated their transparency. And if you know me, you know I'm an easy person to talk to, and we can talk, for a long time. But I was really, really surprised to learn that everybody seems to be going through something. And so what advice, on top of NAR settlement, election, inflation, on top of the business, how do we manage when the personal is just as crazy as the business?
There's actually quite a few things, and if you don't mind, I'll do a screen share. I'm going to run through a few slides, but
Yeah.
I want to start by saying one of the biggest things that I have grown into over the years is when you show up as fully authentically who you are
Mhm.
and you quit trying to be what you think other people expect you to be,
Mhm.
magical things start to happen. I mean, when I had a nervous breakdown in 2002, I did not tell anybody about it that I didn't have to.
And I appreciate you sharing that today. I really do, because it's the topic of mental health has been so taboo for such a long time, which is
It,
why it's the pandemic that nobody's talking about, the overwhelm. It's the pandemic that
it
nobody's talking
absolutely
about.
is. And it permeates, if you have marital problems,
Hmm.
you don't talk about them. If you have anxiety, you don't talk
Yeah,
about it. If
yeah,
you lost a loved one,
yeah,
you don't talk about it
yeah,
because frankly, for so long, it was a perceived weakness to feel your feels.
yeah,
If anything has come out of everything from the Me Too movement to, I mean, I could list a million things. Let's not even go there.
yeah,
I think we are slowly starting to learn the benefit of speaking our authentic reality
yeah.
and trust, first of all, trusting the people around you to be able to handle it, because a lot of
Hmm.
us are fixers and we think, I can't put the weight of my problems on I can't tell Tamra that I have this
Yeah.
problem because she might think less of me and I don't want to burden her.
Hmm.
I would guess that
That's
every single
powerful.
person on this call has either said one or both of those things to themselves at some point.
And I think as realtors, we tend to see ourselves as fixers.
It's the nature
And,
of our
and
business.
right. And when you are the fixer, you can never be broken.
Yes. There's a
Damn, that
perception.
was deep. Woo,
Uh-huh.
Lord Jesus.
So my challenge to everybody is this: start showing up as who you are, all of who you are. Quit trying to hide the things that you perceive as your weaknesses, because I guarantee you this, your weaknesses are also your superpowers.
I think we need to hear that. Say that one more time.
Your weaknesses are also your superpowers.
Mhm.
I have been accused of being the person of 10,000 second chances.
Yep.
I see this comment that Kara just shared, fixers need someone to fix them, and many times we don't prioritize that, but we need to.
Yep.
I got a therapist.
I
I
do
got
too.
I got a business coach. I've
I do
got a
too.
fitness coach. So, the most successful people in the world aren't doing it themselves. Not one of them.
Yes.
Get in this. I'm a fixer. I can fix myself.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how's that working out for you?
Mm-hmm.
Is all I'm going to say.
Yep.
There's benefit to taking advantage of professionals who have the skill set to help you navigate these things.
Yes.
So let me just jump over, if I may, real quick. We're going to just
Sure.
jump on to.
And while you are pulling that up, does anybody have any questions so far? This is good stuff.
All right. I'm going to buzz through this because you have so many other questions I think are really valuable for us to get through, but I think there's a few great things in here. So let's just talk about how you wound up where you are.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Work cancels your personal commitments. That's what starts the problems outside of work, right? We start
Mm-hmm.
saying, oh, it's been a bad year. So anybody who calls who wants me to come list their house, I'm going to drop everything and get over there. We
Mm-hmm.
stop being the professional and going through the motions. My mentor and the original founder of StarPower, Howard Brinton, would say it's being a Pop-Tart realtor.
Mm.
Phone rings, you're out the door.
Yeah.
Hopefully the buyer representation agreement prevents you from being such a Pop-Tart realtor, but we do it for sellers and buyers. So you're out of balance that way, or you just feel like a runaway train.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way to rest. There's no time to stop. And really this accelerated exponentially because of COVID. We all went into a panic mode. We didn't understand what was happening. We were having a bunch of rules thrown at us.
Yeah.
So we just became runaway trains. We worked 24/7,
We
365.
did. There was this hard stop pause. We were frozen. We were frozen for a minute because nobody knew what was going on. And then we thawed out and we hit the ground running.
People did one of three things during that time, and I think we still do it when we're under stress. Either you turtle, you pull back in the shell and pretend like, you're never leaving that shell. You're just going to hole up. Um, you go into vacation mode.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is
Which
only
is tempting
temporary.
right now because it's fourth quarter, it's holiday season.
Yep. Let me just sit on the beach with some cocktails and wait for it to blow over, whatever it is. Or we put the boxing gloves on, which is what created the runaway train, quite frankly. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
going to fight my way out of this wet paper bag somehow. And then we all fall into imposter syndrome. It's the infinite scroll and, oh my gosh, look at how well so-and-so is doing. And I'm
Yeah.
down this year and they said they're having their best year ever. And so we beat ourselves up because we're not good enough.
Mm.
And that's also why we stop sharing our problems,
Mm.
because we have this perception, well, I'm the only one. I'm the only one dealing with it.
Yeah.
So what you can do about it, it starts with the clarity of a vision. Why are you here on this earth? What is important to you? And we won't go through a whole exercise of that today. But
Mm-hmm.
if you don't have a clear vision, then you're just waking up every morning, getting in the hamster wheel and running as hard as you can, and then falling out of it at night and starting all over the next day. So you've got to pause and get some clarity of vision. Drawing boundaries is huge when you're in overwhelm.
Saying no, or
Uh-huh.
I have an appointment, or let's do tomorrow instead of today. Let's
How
do
much
Friday.
real estate crisis can you solve between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m.?
Yep.
Realistically,
Yep.
you can't reach a lender. You can't reach an inspector. You can't reach a
Yep.
title company. And
Yep.
if you are reaching out to those people at 7 o'clock at night, shame on you.
Yep.
You're screwing up their boundaries.
Yep.
So
And
it's
I think
learning.
also we get caught up in five-star service. That five-star review means I have to always be on for my client. I have to always reply. I have to
And
always
I'm
be.
going to call BS on that right now. Go look at someone who has 700 five-star reviews. I challenge you to find any reviews in there that said, I'm so grateful that Lee was always answering my emails at 10 o'clock at night. That's not what people are giving you reviews for. They
Yep.
saved me from something bad happening. They helped my dream come true. They were patient with me. Truly dig into somebody's reviews if you don't have your own and get the message of what they're saying. 5-star reviews don't have anything to do with you sacrificing yourself.
Amen. Thank you for that. And okay, Gay. Hey, Gay, thanks for joining us. Gay says, amen to that imposter syndrome. And Dallison is from Virginia. Dallison says to Kara, are you referring to me?
All right, let me buzz through these real quick because I want to get back to your questions. Time blocking, and
Mhm,
you've brought this up to me before, and we'll talk about it in a little bit, but time blocking helps you solve the problem because instead of, you know, if you can bring a certain activity you do into a condensed time. So I
mhm,
want to write 5 handwritten notes a day. Do I
mhm,
write one and then I go do something, then I write another one, I go do something? Or do I sit down for 10 minutes and write 5 notes and it's done? You
mhm,
know, there are 2 ways to approach it. So if you time block an activity, I call it, there's a lot of stacking is a term that probably a lot of you have heard from other trainers. Stack those things that belong together, get them done and out of the way.
yep,
Morning and evening ritual. I just gave you the gap, which can be
mhm,
part of your evening ritual. There should be a certain time when you unplug from technology. There's plenty of research that you can find to tell you why it's bad to stay on the blue light late at night. Your
mhm,
morning ritual, I alluded to that. If you get up and you just jump into work right away, you don't give yourself. I highly recommend the Miracle Morning app, and Tamara, that you've used it as well. You can knock out all 6 of those items in 10 minutes and it will completely alter your day for the positive. They
yeah.
even now have recorded meditations on there that will do
Oh,
like
it is
5 out of the
awesome.
6 items all at one time.
It's one of my
So,
favorite apps. They just put so much thought in that app. They really did.
and if you're a reader or a book listener instead of an app user, the new version of the Miracle Morning is worth picking up. I read the one when it first came out, and the new one has a bunch of enhancements that are really good.
Mhm,
These last 2 things I want to talk about, and I'm going to jump to the slides for them real quick, if I may.
sure.
Awareness in the moment.
Mm,
We have become a world of distraction.
yes.
We've all had that moment.
Notifications.
Well, the easiest thing I can relate it to is you are driving from point A to point B, and you pull into point B realizing you don't remember any of that drive.
Mm,
That's a scary thought. Did you run any red lights? Did you not slow down for a turn? Did you forget to put on your signal? What are all the little things we're doing along the way? So yeah, it's easy for us to get distracted. And if you've ever had either a client or a family member or a team member like, hello, or did you just hear what I said?
mhm,
You have checked out and you didn't even realize it. So
mhm.
developing awareness in the moment, like you realize I'm not plugged in right now,
Yeah.
and take immediate, brief action to alter that. So bring yourself back to being fully present, whatever that takes. Write a quick note of the thing that suddenly leaped into your continuous loop. I got to get this done. Say to the person you're with, oh my gosh, give me a moment. I just remembered something I was supposed to get done today and I need to write it down so I don't forget. You don't have
Awesome.
to pretend with people. We do all this
Yeah.
pretending, like, can I covertly put my phone under the desk and type myself a note and think that nobody knows what I'm doing? Come
Hmm.
on,
Right.
call it what it is. Girl,
Right.
I'm 55 years old. I have senior moments.
Right.
And it's okay for me to say, oh my gosh, you said this, my brain went over here, and I missed the last 30 seconds of what you just
Mhm.
said.
Yeah.
Would you please forgive me and repeat it? And people
Yeah.
go, yep, it's happened to me before.
Yep. People
So
will give
bring
you
yourself,
grace.
yes,
Yep.
give it to yourself. Quit trying to be the superhuman. We are not multitaskers. Neither are computers, by the way. They
Computers do one thing at
pause
a
in
time as well.
microseconds. They do this one thing and then they do this one thing. Nothing is actually happening at the same time. So quit telling yourself you're a master multitasker, because you're lying to yourself. And then finally, a meditation in the moment when the overwhelm gets really bad.
Hmm.
Bring yourself to a space of peace and calm.
Mm.
And the meditation could be as simple as, this is temporary. This is not who I am. This is not my whole life. The answers are waiting for me. Whatever you need to say to yourself in the moment, it could simply be, it's okay to be human. I accept myself as I am.
This too shall pass.
This too shall pass.
Mhm.
What do we say to ourselves in the quiet moments? Do we beat ourselves up or do we lift ourselves up? It's a choice. We're all super good at beating ourselves up.
Yep, we
Most of
are.
us are not so good at lifting ourselves up.
Oh, say that again, because I think there's some people that need to hear that.
Not too many of us are good at lifting ourselves up.
Hmm.
I am a big person for visuals, and I just caught my eye on my corkboard here, so I'm grabbing it. I have this little phrase. It simply says, and you're not going to be able to read it. I'm going to read it to you in a minute. I like to keep, when I find an image that's compelling to me, I will throw it in a folder. And then when I find a phrase that fits the image, I'll just drop it on there and I print it out, not fancy, in my own office, 4x6 photos. So it says, I am enough. I am full of sparkle and compassion. I genuinely want to make the world a better place. I love hard. I practice kindness. I welcome the truth. I am loyal, adventurous, supportive, and surprising. I am a woman. I am enough. I make mistakes. I own them and I learn from them. There's an original quote by Molly Mahar, who I adapted to fit my own personal situation. But what do you look at when you are in that overwhelm? What do you feed yourself when you're feeling
Yeah,
down?
yeah,
You do this, or do you get on social media? Do
right.
you start rehashing everything in your life you didn't do right? For
Yep.
what purpose? So it's a lot of this is active choice in the moment when we're feeling the anxiety, feeling the depression, feeling the anger, feeling the hurt, to say, what's my choice right now?
That's a good one. What's my choice right
Listen,
now? Yeah.
you have a terrible client. That's a real thing.
Hmm. And we've
How
all gone
long,
through it. We've all
how
gone through
much
that
time?
transaction that has you questioning your life choices.
Uh-huh. Yes, me too. I had a coaching client for a year early on in my coaching career, and he never did one thing he committed to.
Hmm.
He coached with me for a year, Tamara, and I didn't fire him. And
Mm.
every time we'd get on a session and I'd say, okay, what's the best thing that happened since the last time we talked? What did you accomplish? What still remains to be done? What's your focus right now? What's your biggest challenge going forward? And it was like broken record.
Mm.
Now, what did that do for him or me?
Right. Time wasted. All right.
So
Okay. So here's something. One of the biggest challenges that I have is learning something new, implementing it. And then before you can implement it, it's something new to learn. So, how do you recommend agents tackle the overwhelm of technology in real estate?
this is a fantastic subject to bring up. And you and I have had one-on-one conversations about this,
Hmm.
Tamara. If you have clarity of vision, if you know where you're headed, then anytime you're presented with a new opportunity, the question needs to be, does this further my vision or
Okay.
detract from my vision or distract me from my vision?
All right.
That's super important. So I'll give you an example. I had a call recently with someone who is wanting to do geographic farming.
Hmm.
I said, how clear are you on your goals for next year? So we had a
Hmm.
little conversation about that. So we decided based on their financial needs and their market and their average price, all that good stuff, that the goal was to sell 30 transactions. So I asked a simple question. How many people, past clients and sphere of influence, do you have in your database that you would be comfortable having a conversation with if you ran into them somewhere out in public? And we decided the number was 500. Well, if you follow Ninja Selling, it says 10% of that number are waiting to either
Hmm.
do business with you or refer business to you on an annual basis. That's 50 transactions. And so then I walked her through that, asked her the question, what are you doing to stay in touch with those past clients in that sphere of influence?
Yeah.
Christmas card,
Mm-hmm.
monthly e-newsletter. That was it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I said, if we can put together a program for you to stay in more regular contact with those people, what they need, remind them that you care about them, that you're still in the business, and you could get half those transactions,
Mm-hmm.
25 are waiting for you.
That's better than farming.
The amount of money and the slow burn time
Mm-hmm.
it takes to get a geographic farm going, you're not going to get it in the next 12 months. So she
Absolutely.
was able to shift her thinking, save money, do something that was more enjoyable to her. And we found the other 5 through open houses because she really likes to do open houses. She's now
Mm-hmm.
got focus. But without the clarity of vision, I know this is a long answer to your question.
That's okay.
Without the clarity of vision, you're just going to continue to flail.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes perfect sense. Thank you for elaborating on that. And that
Yeah,
was a great
absolutely.
example. Okay, my last question before I do my rapid fire, my last question. How can agents successfully take time off in real estate and still have their business run smoothly?
Thank you for asking this question. If you don't currently do that, you are shortchanging your clients.
Mm,
I'm going to start there. I want to use as an example Sean Cunningham, who's out of Las Vegas. A
hmm
lot of you who are RRCs know RRC members know Sean. You've
hmm
probably met him. He lives on the road. He met his beautiful wife when he was in South America. And his business flourishes because he has chosen to be incredibly transparent about how he does business.
Okay.
Um, how is he able to accomplish that? And how is anyone able to accomplish that? Systems,
hmm
leverage. You
All
have to
right.
have both of those things. So if you want to be the person who can sit down with their 2025 calendar and say, I want 4 major vacation next year and 1 long weekend a month.
hmm
If you're going to accomplish that, pick the dates, put them on your calendar, and then say, if I'm going to be gone those times, what has to be in place in order
Right.
for my clients, my staff, my friends to be okay with me being gone that much time.
Right.
Listen, my best friend is the hardest person for me to schedule around. Every time I tell her I'm going on the road and I tell her where, she says, I hate that town. But I've figured out how to get her prepared for me being gone. So that doesn't mean you got to hire a full-time assistant. Everybody always
Right.
goes there when I say this. There are all sorts of different types of leverage you can get. Technology,
hmm
virtual assistants,
Yep.
cooperative agreements with local agents.
hmm
We can break that down based on what it is that you feel is getting in your way of being able to step back.
Yeah. And I think that if more agents actually plan their year, their vacations in advance instead of last minute, they would figure out how to make it work.
Oh, yes. I just ordered, and it's in my office to get ready to be put up, a 2-year wipe off calendar.
hmm
I have my 1-year wipe up for 2024, and every time I book something, it goes up there, and the big rocks go in first, color
hmm
coded, of course. You know me, Tamara. So the
hmm
personal goes in one color. I
Right.
have my nonprofit that goes in another color. Things that generate revenue go in another color. So visuals, I think, for 90% of the population really work. So think about that. But put the big rocks in first,
Yeah.
and then figure out how to wire around them. I'll be in Tanzania
Absolutely.
in 2 weeks in December.
Yep.
But I have the things in place I need to have in place in order to make that possible.
Right. Right. So, all right, you ready for rapid fire?
Let's go.
All
I
right,
love this. I'm
here we
having
go.
so much fun.
Okay, early bird or night owl?
Yes. And
Okay, time
I'm just,
block or to-do
wait,
list?
do you want to go through all of them and then circle back? Because I want to
Yep.
explain my answers. Okay.
Yep.
Time block or to-do list?
Time block or to-do
Yes.
list?
Yes to both.
Okay, and the last one, in office or home office? I'm sorry, in the
Absolutely.
business office or home office?
Yes to both. I know. Y'all wanted me to say one or another. I get it.
And there was a purpose, you guys, behind the rapid fire questions. We wanted to show you that there's no wrong way. And there's no,
Mhm.
you can have, there are multiple ways for you to be successful.
All three of those things tie back to imposter syndrome in my mind.
Yep.
You hear, oh, high achievers, Miracle Morning, the original book. Everybody gets up
The
at
4 a.m.
4:30 a.m.
club.
No way, Jose. I love James Shaw and the thing that he created, but y'all are on East Coast at what,
Yep.
7 in the morning, 7:30 in the morning? That's 5:30 for me. That's 4:30 for people in California.
Yeah. Oh, the
Hawaii,
pivot, the
forget
pivot
about
group.
it.
Yeah, that's still going strong. Yeah.
Yeah, forget about people in Hawaii. They're
Yeah.
just totally, in Alaska. Sorry, guys. Um, I've been a night owl for as long as I can remember. I am not an early morning girl. My
Mm-hmm.
most productive time, this is about self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
When are you most productive? When are you most excited?
And
If you
creative.
and
When are you most
creative,
creative?
know what your windows are. I'm not a morning exercise person. I know plenty of you all love to get up at the crack of dawn and go jog, or I won't run unless somebody's chasing me and my life is being threatened. But I will hike my brains out for 11
Yes.
hours.
Yes.
Know what resonates with you and what makes you happy and wire around it.
Mm.
I'd much rather gay. I self-identify as a night person.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So, so what if you are? You
Yeah.
know, I can sleep from midnight to 8 instead of sleeping from 9 to 5.
Yeah.
That's my choice.
Mm-hmm.
And so quit beating yourselves up for not being what other people are and embrace who you are and turn that weakness into a superpower.
Yes. I think a lot of us just need permission to be who we are, how we are.
If you're looking for a sign, this is it. I even have a graphic that says that. Maybe today's the day I need to post it on Facebook. Be who you are. Quit trying
Yep.
to be what everybody else thinks you
Yep.
should be.
Yep.
The second one you said was time blocking
Time
or
blocking versus to-do list. So, because some people block the time for one task and some people write their list and they cross off, they cross off.
so I think there's a sweet spot that sits between the two of those.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important to time block so that certain activities get done, like the simple greet handwritten note example I gave you earlier is one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, Everybody should keep a running to-do list.
Okay.
You have more than 1,000 ideas, intents, hopes, projects
Mm-hmm. And you
running
can't keep it
in.
up here.
No, and in
This is
fact,
not for storage.
let me just tattle on myself. Um, I like to keep a notebook, but for whatever reason, my notebook wasn't in my bedroom. And I woke up to go to the bathroom because when you
Yes.
drink
Yes,
100 ounces of
Natalie.
water a day, you got to pee all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Natalie, notepad by your bedside. So I could not find the notebook. And my head was just going a million miles a minute. All I could find in my bedroom was a piece of corrugated cardboard that
Mm-hmm.
my husband had been using to line up. We have one room that gets too hot, and we've got one of those,
Mm-hmm.
air conditioners you can sit in the room. I took that piece of cardboard and I brain dumped
Mm-hmm.
27, 28 items. And next morning, I carried that piece of cardboard down to my office and I just leaned it against my bookcase.
Yep.
I knew I didn't need to get all those things done, but it's what was keeping me awake. So always
Yeah.
keep the running to-do list.
Awesome.
It
And
will
Margaret,
never be to done. It's never going to be to done. Just to remind you.
Margaret says, I also added a done list to give myself credit for the important things that I completed that came up that were not
Yes.
on the list for the day. High
So I
five,
don't know if you
Margaret.
guys will be able to see this, but probably not. This is
Yeah.
what I do in my notebook.
Yep.
Everything gets a box next to it.
Yep.
If I get it done, it gets a check mark. If I no longer need to do it, it gets an X. If I left a voicemail or an email and it's still outstanding, I write that to the side of the box.
Mm-hmm.
So at a glance, I can fan through my whole notebook and go, what's that open box I never checked off? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
let me circle back and get that done.
Yep.
It relieves your brain of the exhaustion of doing this and
Yes.
reduces your overwhelm.
Yes.
So to-do list, yes, and time blocking, yes. They're both needed for an ideal outcome.
Awesome. All right.
What was the
Well,
other one?
the last one was in office versus home office.
Some of us do better in office,
Hmm.
business office, because we need to be in a setting with other people.
Hmm.
Um, those same people often get distracted by those other people. And so there may be certain things you need to do at the home office to have the level of focus and lack of interruption that you need. And there
Yes.
are also likely times when you need to physically be in the business office
For the energy, the
for the
collaboration.
energy,
Yep.
for the restoration, for whatever it is. So I don't think it's one or the other. And unfortunately, with COVID, this was one of the downsides of COVID because everybody got shoved off to home office.
Hmm.
I'm one of those people that needs to be around people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my total sidebar, my husband was having heart issues and ended up having major open heart surgery during that first year we were dealing with COVID. And so I got cut off from everybody for a period of time. And I don't do well without
Hmm.
social interaction. My best friend and I were meeting up in the parking lot at Sam's Club. We pulled
Yeah.
up
I
like
was
two
doing that.
police
I was
cars.
having parking lot happy hour with my friends.
We're pulling up like police cars, rolling our window down, making sure nobody's seeing us that would report us back to our families. Um, you have to know what the benefits are of each. Some people don't do well in a home office
Yeah.
because I'll go do laundry, I'll wash the
Yep.
dishes, I take the dogs for a walk, and the work
Hmm.
just keeps getting slid back. Other
Yeah.
people, they can
Laser
go
focus.
blinders all day.
Yep.
So no wrong answer. Be who
All
you
right.
are.
And Natalie says, I have ADHD, so I work better at the office or a coffee shop. Yeah. Yeah. That,
One of
and
my mentors, his best thing to do is he likes to walk to the coffee shop and he spreads out all over a table with all his
hmm.
notes. It's
Hmm.
just having the people around
Yeah.
helps him be more productive.
That energy, that energy. Well, Amy, this has been so helpful. And thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for agreeing to come and tackle the topic of how to overcome overwhelm. Was there anything that we left out? Are
I
there
would
any
ask your
questions, you
audience.
guys? Any questions? Anything that's important to you that we may have missed? Type in the chat. And we really appreciate all of you being on today. Thank you so much.
Absolutely my pleasure. I'm honored, so honored to be able to help you guys and open to any questions anytime. Amy
And
at starpower.com
mhm.
is, oh, Natalie's got a great question.
Okay. She says, what are your top two lead generating tips that we can do today?
Yes, I love this one.
Great coaching question.
Um,
Oh, let me put your email in the chat. Okay.
perfect. Um, I'm going to get back on my soapbox about your past clients and your sphere of influence. If they are not seeing something from you twice a month and hearing from you once a quarter, what you could do today, right now, to fix that is get on the phone, make a commitment to yourself for X number of people a day. I'm going to call them, and this is the script. I'm not going to make you figure that out either. Tamara, it's Amy Stoehr from StarPower Real Estate. It's been on my mind. You've been on my mind, and I thought, why not just pick up the phone and see what's new since the last time we chatted? That's it. That's it. Don't ask them who they know is going to be buying or selling in the next 6 months. Don't go there. Connect with people. And then here's the key. You gotta put it in your CRM. Now I go into Tamara's record, little note that I called, whatever she said to me, maybe I left a voicemail message, recurring appointment every 90 days for the rest of forever.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't ever have to do this manual exercise again. What's going to happen on those calls is they're going to tell you what's new. But
Yep.
because you're in real estate, everybody always asks, how's the market?
Mm-hmm.
Or I heard this, I heard that. They're going to want to engage you in a conversation. And if they
Yep.
don't, it's okay. You
Yep.
don't have to press the issue. You don't go, oh, they didn't ask me about interest rates. They didn't ask me about the NAR settlement. They didn't ask me about this. I'm going to tell them. Newsflash, they don't care right now.
Nope. They will be so happy to hear from you. And then after you hear from them and you hang up that phone and you put that note in the CRM, then what do you do, Amy?
Next. Oh yeah, your handwritten note. Don't
Handwritten
ever miss
note.
that opportunity. So
Handwritten
that's
note.
one. That's one way to start generating business today. Here's number two. I love that. Automation in my CRM is my best friend. Amen to that. Here's the second thing you can do to generate business right now. You're going to love this one. Nobody's talking about this. For rent by owners, not for sale by owners, not expireds, for rent by owners. You don't see those ads until they don't have a tenant or the tenant's about to move out. It's a great opportunity to simply inquire, oh, I see you have your property up for rent. I'm just curious. How long have you owned the property? What's your plan? Are you aware of the equity position you might have? You can uncover some sellers right now. A lot of those people are just tired of being landlords, but they haven't thought about, well, I could just sell it. I mean, their equity positions are unreal for most of them. Maybe they couldn't sell the house in a down market, and so they rented it, and they've just been continuing that hamster wheel.
Mm-hmm.
I could give you several more, but she only asked for two, and it's
Awesome.
1:57.
All right. We timed it perfectly. Thank you guys for being on today and for participating. And thank you for the awesome questions. I really appreciate this. Amy, I did put your email in there. Any
Great.
other, whether emails or websites you want to share with the people?
Feel free to check out starpower.com. We'd love to have you join us at our conference next year in July. I would recommend for your mental well-being that you find 2 or 3 resources that you really enjoy that lift you up when you're challenged. Mel Robbins is a great one. She's always got a funny story about something that she did that's goofy.
Mm-hmm.
Hal Elrod is great. He's the guy from the Miracle Morning. You go on YouTube and Google
Mm-hmm.
motivations or affirmations. There's a zillion different resources. I would encourage you to not only have real estate driven ones, but have non-real estate driven ones, because we
Yeah.
spend so much time in the real estate world. We need to give ourselves a little break. And
Yeah.
hey,
And if you have
there's nothing
Pinterest,
wrong with the Netflix and chill night.
yeah.
Call a
And
timeout and do it.
if you have Pinterest, when you come across an affirmation that speaks to you, just save it. Save it.
Yeah.
If it stirs your soul, just save it, because you can save it to a board that you create, make it private, and then just refer back to it when you need to.
Um, Feel free to check out my Pinterest account. I was just going to go look and see what it is. I built a whole board around motivations. So
Awesome.
if you don't have any of your own, just type in Amy Stoehr on Pinterest. I'm sure it'll come up.
Cool. Well,
I
thank you,
saw
Amy. I
my
appreciate you guys.
pleasure.
And yes, this was recorded, so I am happy to share so that you can forward this along to anyone that you think would benefit from it. But thanks, everyone, and we will check in with you a little bit later from Virginia RRC. Thank you.